morning, everyone.
Happy Saturday.
Hi there. Happy March.
Happy March. Yes.
Yes.
March 1st.
Welcome. Right. Right.
And we have another special guest with us this week.
Yay.
Welcome, Marianne.
Glad to be here.
Our
Welcome,
member of the week.
Member of the week. That's fun.
Yes.
Nice. Great to have you, Marianne.
I'm glad to be here. I just wish I could be seen.
We have some webcam issues, and we're not sure if it's a Firefox thing or what exactly it is. But we've got Marianne's voice, and she's talking from the Magic 8 Ball. So we look forward to chatting with you more. But before that, I'll say hi to everyone who is there's Anne. Everyone who's here. Amanda wins the award for earliest one in 9:12 a.m. from Melbourne. 9:12 our time.
Wow.
Much earlier. No, wait a second. Later. It's tomorrow already for them, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so we should say Sunday. Good Sunday too.
I think so. I think it is.
Weekend. I think maybe happy weekend roundup.
Happy
Yes.
weekend. There we go.
We'll have to adjust that.
Yeah. Judy Stutz is here, and Fiordalisi, Rick Cleland. Hey, Rick D. And just scrolling through. Okay, and those early people kept talking back and forth. There we go. Which is great.
Well,
I love that. I love that our community talk. You know, they really it's like it's a family. They know each other so well. That's great. We know each other so well. Brian is here. Victor, a good time zone to you too. Yes. Yeah. John Tyner from Ireland is here.
Hi, John.
Hey there, John. Holly. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Scroll. Yoke is here from the Netherlands. Excellent. Chris Wine is here as well. Teresa Mintz, Patricia Jackson. Tamara Sims or Tamara, I can't remember. Do we know whether it's Tamara or Tamara? Judith Fry, Catherine Lake Hogan. How you doing, Catherine? Good to see you. Fellow Canadian Chris Yolo. Hello, Susie Carta, Doris Lanier.
Hi.
Murray from just west of me here. Veg Beauty Tia is here as well. And Tamara. Okay, thank you.
In Spanish, we say Tamara.
Tamara. Nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it's very pretty when it's said that way.
Nice. Excellent. So great to see everyone today. And I will go last so that I don't make everyone else late. Betsy, did you want to start off, or Vicky, do you want to start off with our special guest?
Oh, no, Betsy. Betsy has to leave earlier.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Only a few more weeks where I'm going to have to impose on everybody like this. I hope. So let me. We have a fun question of the week this week. So let me get to that. 1 second with the screen of infinity. Okay. Do you see question of the week?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So the question is, what's an interesting nickname in your family? Did you two think about this? Do you have an answer?
I actually have an answer. Now, in my adoptive family, we didn't have a lot of interesting nicknames. But when I discovered my biological family, the first one of the first people the first person I met, didn't meet because he'd already passed. But my biological father had a nickname Twick, Twick. What the heck? And I mean, it was even written on his on the official obituary. And but apparently it's because he was always sort of hyperactive, and he was always moving his, making sounds and twicking, I guess, or whatever. And he was also a drummer. So he turned that energy into being a drummer.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
So
and I have a good story about my own nickname. my middle name is Antonia, and my grandmother used to call me Antuca or Antuquita, which is short for Antuca, like little Antuca.
Right.
And it has no meaning at all. You won't see that anywhere, anywhere else. And we didn't know, or I didn't know where it came from. And it was so nice to. One day I was on Family Search, and I was researching some ancestors, and found a photo of a cousin of my great grandmother, and she was named Antonia, and she signed Antuca, Antuquita. And, and I realized that the nickname was in my family all the time.
More
So
than one
that
person.
yeah, very old. Mhm.
Wow.
So
Now, did
that's
you find a photo of that cousin?
yes. I was going to show it, but I forgot.
Now, did she look like you did as a kid?
No, not at all. No.
Because I was wondering if your grandmother was, because the two of you, if you two of you look so much alike, that's why she gave you that nickname.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Just because Antonia sounds like that,
Mhm.
and she must have heard that.
It's a pretty. I love the name Antonia.
Very nice.
Well, when this
Thank
question
you.
made me think of my maternal grandmother, who was named, especially when she was a young woman, newly arrived in the United States, having emigrated from England. She was called Red, and it's not clear. She did have reddish hair, so that could have been the origin of the nickname, or her surname, her maiden name was Redwood. I think that might have been, well, it might have been both, but
Mm.
cute nickname. Yeah.
Yeah, double red.
Right.
Mhm.
So, I did notice we had 52 answers as of my morning coffee this morning,
Wow.
and so there were a couple of themes that popped up and kept repeating. One was a sibling, either older or younger, who couldn't pronounce a name, and
Mhm.
then the other sibling got that nickname, and it stuck with them, sometimes for their entire life.
Mhm.
And then another theme was nicknames that were so deep that, like, the current researchers don't even know what the real name was.
Wow.
It had completely obscured the real name. And then the third theme was nicknames to differentiate. Remind me, when we were talking about Akkadian, is it
Mhm.
D-names? D-names, which are more surnames, right? But
Yes, their surnames. Yeah.
they're surnames. So in this case, it would be for the forename, but
Mhm.
nicknames to differentiate when you have a John McLeod and another John McLeod, and so yeah,
Mhm.
nicknames make a lot of sense.
Right. Red
So
John and Tall John, and
right,
that's right.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So we had all the answers were fun to read. Of course, I can't read them all, but I picked out a dozen that were
I
fun.
I love the one at the top there.
I know. Keep calm and stay R.
Yeah.
So, this is from Ray Sarlin, who says, "What would you prefer to be called if your name was Arminius Escopius Lida?"
Oh, wow.
Lots of people struggled with the name of my great granduncle, but not his wife, Kitty Pinkerton. She simply called him R.
R.
Yeah, well, it's a good name.
I tend to overthink these things.
Mm.
So that was fun. Um, Now, this one is from Alexis Nelson. Do either of you know this Lloyd Bridges show called Sea Hunt?
Oh.
No.
Is it about a seal? Or no?
No, no. I was not familiar, and so I looked it up. And anyway, so this was a TV series in which
Okay.
Lloyd Bridges was the actor portraying a character named Mike Nelson. And so Alexis's husband was named Mike Nelson. And
Ah.
when she first met him in the 60s, his nickname from his friends was called Sea Hunt for the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
So I'm going to have to check that out. There's got to be some streaming platform that will let me see.
yes.
Alice Thompson says, I was given the name Skeets from a family friend. I became good with handgun and rifle at a very early age. I only tried skeet shooting once, and I found I didn't like it. I continued to be good with a handgun or rifle to include time on the Army holding expert.
wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Faye Baker writes, I had an Uncle Pie who was my mom's youngest sibling. I did not realize that wasn't his real name until I was in my teens. And then after starting family history, she asked how he got the nickname. And the story was that when he was a boy, his mom sent him to school with little fruit pies in his lunch. They were bigger than tarts, and she even baked them in the winter because Grandma canned fruit. Other kids wanted some, and he would refuse to share. He got bullied and called Pie, and older siblings started calling him that as well. Of course, all the while they were enjoying their own little pies. He always felt enduring the name calling was worth it. He was always my Uncle Pie. Ah, that sounds like delicious dessert to have.
I know.
Yeah. Let's see. Annie Blanchard says, my father's nickname was Opie. This was long before Ron Howard portraying Opie on the TV show in the 40s, because her dad was born in the mid-20s. And her father's real name was Lloyd, but this is one of these sibling could not say it. Older brother could not say Lloyd. It somehow became Opie, and that's the name he went by until he died too early at the age of 40. Oh, very sorry, Annie. But the nickname was so much a part of him. He even had a license plate, a Connecticut license plate, with that nickname on it.
Wow.
Yeah, and she still has that.
That's great.
Yeah. And then Sharon Blunt writes, my uncle's name is Pinky. Now I relate to this as a teacher. When you have right now, I have 3 Cassandras in my 6th grade flute class.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
So this nun had 3 Pauls in the class. In order to tell them apart, she started calling them Pinky, Paul, and Puck. So you got to do something like that.
Yeah. That's fun.
Wow.
Yes. And let's see. So Lori Zuckerman shared that 3 of my daddy's brothers had nicknames: Preacher, Punk, and Hawk. The first 2 are kind of obvious. I had to ask my cousin about Uncle Henry being nicknamed Hawk. She said it's because he used to steal chicken.
Chicken Hawk.
Now this one was very interesting, and we'll look at the profile too. Barbara Bagby said, my husband's uncle, Richard Zimmerman, also known as Dugout Dick Zimmerman, or the Salmon River Caveman, lived in hand-dug caves in Idaho. Wow. So here is Richard's profile. He lived to the very fine age of 94? Yeah.
94.
And here he is wearing a cowboy hat, Salmon River caveman. And so he lived in a hand-dug cave 18 miles south of the town of Salmon, Idaho. Since 1948, he spent his days mining and digging, eventually dug other caves and rented them out. He was featured in National Geographic and in a book titled Holding On.
Wow.
So, yeah. What an interesting person to have in your tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. Let me go back. That's page 3. Okay. Thank you, Barbara. And then Linda said, now I've heard of this before, when a name, you're like senior, junior, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. So the middle grandson is nicknamed 5 because he is Peter the Fifth on my husband's side of the family. Her husband is 3 and her son is 4. When her daughter-in-law was pregnant and had her gender ultrasound, it was determined to be a boy, and there was no question that he would be named Peter. She jokingly started referring to her bump as 5, and that's what he's called. He will be 10 this year, and he knows his name is Peter, but so far he's sticking with 5. And this one, Mary and Cerruti, this was so cute. My parents met at work when employed by the Radio Corporation of America, RCA. Each employee had a call sign of 2 letters to save time in Morse code transmission.
Neat.
Her father was CI and her mother was LB. So these evolved into nicknames, and soon everyone started calling them by their call signs, even people who were not employed by RCA. I love that.
Wow. Now, it'd be cool if 2 people from that company married and the call signs made the name of their first child.
Oh, I know. If it was like a combined acronym into
Yes.
Yes, new.
Well, if you
True.
rearranged it, it could be Blick, you know.
Yes. Yep.
Though, maybe not.
And then, okay, so Stephen McLeod, this speaks to the theme of, repeated ancestor names. He writes, every second grave in the Larg Parish Cemetery is labeled John McLeod. Which one is my ancestor? Only a slight exaggeration. So he writes that his grandfather, John Daniel McLeod's nickname was Dew, which is Gaelic slang, and maybe John Tyner can speak to this. All we know is Gaelic. Gaelic slang that very loosely translated means cool. Expressly translated, it means possessing the quality of black. One of his brothers, Dr. Charles Harrington MacLeod, had the nickname Ty, another of those Gaelic slang nicknames. I don't have an immediate explanation for this one. It's it's interesting to note that many in Scotland's Highlands, or in some places, most people were known only by their nickname. When every second male was named John and everyone had the same surname, a nickname was necessary.
Yeah.
So, and then finally, we have Yoke from Yoke. This
nice.
very, very wonderful picture of her great granduncle, Jan van der Broek. And he had the nickname Jan de Stroper, which means Jan the Poacher.
Oh, poacher. I thought it was going somewhere else.
Yes. I guess you can guess why he had the nickname. But the story gets better. Her brother, the brother of Jan, brother-in-law, was a policeman who was always trying to catch him in the act. So much so that once at a family birthday or wedding, I'm not sure, celebration, he came in and he asked if Jan were there. And then when he wasn't, he went out again to see what he's up to. So it sounds like a constant chase going on there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What a great picture.
Yes, it really is. So I love his hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody. Those were fun. And please, everyone, go through and upvote. Start of the month. So far, we have 2 ancestors to celebrate for March. And the first of these is Carrie Given. Carrie Given's great-grandmother on his father's side. So her name was Sarah Ann McMorrow, and then she married to become Sarah Ann Dean. She was born on St. Patrick's Day in 1875. I don't think I have any pictures of her, though I would really love to see her face. I was raised to never forget where we came from and our family's Irish roots. We always gather and celebrate on St. Patrick's Day. We happily honor and bless our family and loved ones on that day. So here's Sarah's profile, and Sarah is an Appalachian. Biscuit!
Biscuit.
Yes, born and lived and died in West Virginia. And it's very, very thorough profile, biography, and Carrie, I really hope you get that picture because that
Mhm.
would be so lovely to have. I'm looking at her dates. I'm thinking, well, that's not impossible that a picture was
Uh-huh.
taken.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, happy birthday, happy early birthday, Sarah Ann.
that's right.
And then this is this is Alexis Nelson, who wants to celebrate her maternal grandfather, Scott Marvin Sr. He was born, another birthday, March birthday, March 18th, 1892. He served as a medic in World War I, and this is a photo that was taken in 1918.
Nice.
Very, very handsome.
Mhm.
And he passed away when Alexis was only 6. However, I remember living with him and my grandmother. He would come home from work and take me to get orange ice cream.
Mm.
Also, he would pop corn and take the lid off the pan, and the popcorn would be all over the stove and on the floor. I loved sitting on the floor and eating the popcorn. Alexis, this gave me the most amazing visual.
Yes.
So I think it was extra fun because my grandmother would be yelling for him to keep the lid on the
Yes.
pan. Oh, such good time.
Yeah.
So here's his profile. And so it commemorates his military service. And
And he's your cousin.
yes, he's my sixth
Wow.
cousin, 6 times removed.
Look at that.
Yeah, 18 degrees.
Very cool.
Yeah. I can't remember Alexis and my degree of separation, but
Mhm.
we are connected.
Very cool.
Born in Pennsylvania and died in Oklahoma. And yeah, she's got a nice set of pictures and documents. And here is
Oh, nice.
of that's Scott and his wife Nellie, and then grandchildren Clarice and Marvin.
Mm.
Or yeah, I hope I'm getting that right. The relationships. So yeah, beautiful profile. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alexis.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
So there we go. We look forward to sharing more ancestors throughout the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and photos. And photos. So the story with the photos is the March
Mhm.
theme is sport, but
Oh.
with today being March 1 and coinciding with the flip to the new theme, we did not have the post up yet. So surely will be up next week. So we look forward to seeing your sporty athletic photos.
Okay, I'll share some.
I have no sports photos of myself. That would be of any note. My children are sporty. Okay, so let me add Marianne back.
Yes, Marianne.
Hi.
Thanks for hanging
Now-
out still. People are worried that we kicked you out.
Oh no, I was hanging on every word.
And do you have a nickname
Well,
for yourself?
my whole name is Mary Annie, Annie. I'm named for 4 grandmothers, 2 Marys and 2 Annies. So I grew up as Annie. I have 31 first cousins, and most of them still call me Annie.
Oh.
However,
Oh.
my husband says he married Mary Ann.
Married Marianne. Nice.
Yes.
Aw.
That's nice.
So let me show. Can you share my screen, please?
Yes. There you go.
So we can see Marianne. At least we have her picture.
Yay.
And you can imagine her. I invite you to read her interview, of course. It's really fun. And well, we have Marianne here, so I'll just stop sharing this and go back to us. Oh, we lost Betsy.
Oh no, she just maybe she has to do something. She had to turn off her Can't remember.
Well, she'll come back.
Sure.
Marianne
Yes.
is a coordinator of the Louisiana project, right?
Correct.
And I wanted to say this to you, Greg and Betsy, but Marianne is a teacher.
Yay!
She's a history teacher.
Excellent. And what subject do you teach, Marianne?
Well, I'm not actually a teacher, but I have lots of teachers in my background. I did teach, I was an adjunct teacher during my graduate work at college. And I taught for 2 years and taught human sexuality of all things.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read something about being a teacher, a history teacher.
That's my father.
Oh, it's your father.
Yes.
So that's where you learn to make the past come alive, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. He was a very brilliant, fascinating man. He served in World War II, and he taught all subjects from 5th grade through senior English, including, of course, American history. And then my mother taught 1st grade for 40 years.
Wow. Oh, right. So you are really related to teaching, but it was not you. And tell us about your mother. You received a great inheritance from
Yes.
her. I mean,
I grew up in South Louisiana. My maiden name is Blakeman, which is an English name. It's decidedly not Cajun. And my father loved all things Cajun because he was a bro. And so we grew up knowing all about the Cajun side of our family. My mother was unique because she was Spanish and a strange name, Silver, but she had a lot of French in her background. So mother got started in genealogy, trying to discover our link to the Blakemans. The only thing we knew about the Blakemans was that 2 brothers had come from Galveston. And in her research, she discovered the link to Adam Blakeman, who was one of the founders of Stratford, Connecticut in 1639. And so she discovered that around the year, say 2000. So most of my dad's life and certainly their adult life, we didn't know. It was like Blakeman's just fell into Louisiana. And then now all of a sudden we knew the connection. And, in Louisiana, we call ourselves Cajun. Yes. And so Cajuns kind of have a reputation for being very industrious, but they're, I guess you could say, maybe sort of on the low end of the social strata. And so when we discovered our link to Adam Blakeman, who was an Oxford graduate in 1600s, we all of a sudden decided we were pretty special.
That's neat.
so your most interesting discovery in genealogy is related to a different country. You have Spanish ancestors, right?
That is correct. Bernardo Galvez, who was the governor of Louisiana, recruited soldiers and settlers from the Canary Islands to come and settle Louisiana in the 1700s. And so many of my greats are from the Canary Islands. So I have all these names, Hernandez and Ortega and Diorto and lots of names that I'm just fascinated by them. They not only came to defend Louisiana against the British, who were threatening from the Mississippi River side of things, but they became some of the most tenacious settlers, and they overcame incredible hardships. So they're just fascinating to me.
And other thing that fascinated me is not in your interview, but I saw it on your profile, and that's your connection to water, and that's in your whole family, right?
Absolutely. I grew up on Bayou Teche and the Atchafalaya River in Morgan City, in between Morgan City and Berwick. The Atchafalaya is actually a river that, if the Corps of Engineers had not intervened, the Mississippi would have taken that course instead of going down through the Delta. So I grew up on that river. The bayou was right there. Of course, my grandparents lived on a bayou, Bayou Black, near Homa. Morgan City is 18 miles from the Gulf as the bird flies. And then when I married Chuck, he brought me to Dallas, which there's not a lot of water there, but we always lived about 2 miles from a lake in Dallas. And then after taking care of parents, we bought our first boat, and we were on Lake Texoma. Then we moved to be near grandchildren. So now we're in the Houston area. We still have a trawler that we keep in Galveston Bay. And on our 50th wedding anniversary, we drove a car to Fort Walton Beach and bought a different boat, and then we cruised it back from Fort Walton Beach all the way to Galveston Bay.
Wow. And you live in a boat, right?
No, I don't live in a boat. That Chuck might like that, but Chuck's most common phrase is, "Oh, how long has it been since we've been on the boat?" Because we try to go every 2 weeks, but sometimes we don't make it. Yes, but
it's his happy spot.
Absolutely happy spot. Yes, we do love it very much.
Great. Yeah. Well, I always highlight some phrase that I really like and that inspires others. So I took this one from your interview. My desire is to preserve your mother's work in a format that makes it readily available to our descendants, and more importantly, to tell stories that capture their imagination and generate interest in their own family stories. So that's your legacy, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I love it. When I started, it was after my mom died. She left me 30 binders, loose leaf binders. They were about 3 to 4 inches thick each for each branch of the family.
Oh my gosh, what a gift.
Oh my gosh. Yes, or a burden, depending. Mother was a person who believed that everything was important. So there's so many papers in there that I don't really know, even yet, if they have any importance or if she was just copying things. But the more I studied her work, the more I found that she was actually very thorough. So there's no one that wants 30 binders 4 inches thick. No one. So I had to find a way to try and do something with it. I still haven't settled on what that final product is. But the more I play in WikiTree, the more I think that may be it. Because if it really is going to live forever, I don't understand how that can happen. It seems like there would need to be money somewhere to make it live forever. But if it's going to, I put all my eggs in that basket. Because I'm trying to flesh out as much as I can all of her work into the WikiTree profiles.
Marianne, I missed this. When did you join WikiTree? How long have you been with us?
I think 3 years, maybe.
3 years. Okay.
Yes.
You said 2021.
Okay, 4 now. See? Time flies when you're having fun.
True.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said I've been playing on WikiTree.
Yes.
Because yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're here to have fun also.
Wow.
It
So
is.
how many of those 30 binders have you gone through, Marianne?
Oof.
Well, I mean, in some fashion, all of them.
Oh, wow.
You know, because she organized them by maybe branches of the tree. For instance, the Blakemans would have all of my dad's 8 siblings, and then going up, but it didn't go much beyond the brothers in Galveston until she made the discovery. So she didn't fill in between the Galveston brothers and Adam Blakeman. That was about a 200-year span.
Mm.
But when I came to WikiTree, all of those people were there for the most part.
Excellent.
Wow.
Nice. That's always exciting.
Yes. Yes. Actually, it was the history of the Acadians' work going all the way back to the founding of Canada, and then in the Louisiana Project. Those 2 things blew me away when I saw the seriousness of the research and the accuracy of it. I just thought, okay, I'm in. I'm all in.
Great. Well, Marianne, it was great to have you. Thank you for saying yes to our invite. So thank you and great work.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I do apologize for not being more present, but maybe another time. It was lovely to meet all of you.
You
Great to meet you, Marianne.
too.
And you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Marianne. And well, let me share my screen again so we can see the profile makeover of the week. This profile makeover was made by Kristen Miller, and she made her brother's-in-law grandfather. This is his profile. It's John A. Day, and I make a zoom here. We can.
That's good.
There we have the typical biography that we, and be honest, we all have biographies like this.
Yes, we do.
John was born in, and he passed away after the year.
The end.
And the end. And we should have like a name for this kind of profiles, like
the one-liners.
Long story short, one-liners. Yeah. It's a good idea. And we had sources. You can see there are registered from census. I don't know if you see this, okay, but I can read it. And it's the obituary here. Well, the sources were there, just lacked a biography and a family. So Christine transformed that in this profile. Wow. Well, John's father was a farmer and had a farm of his own. So John grew up in a farm. And now we have John's parents, John and Ada. We have 5 siblings, his spouse, Olitha, is it right?
Olitha?
And
yes, I think Olitha is how I would say it, but
yes. And they had 4 children. 2 of them are alive. So we have profiles for their children too. And John was born in 1910 in Potawatomi, Oklahoma. I hope I'm saying it right. And well, his father worked as a farmer, as I said, and they John's mother died when she was 8 years old, so that was sad. And then he married Olitha when he was 21. Olitha was 16. And after that, John registered for World War II and then came back to Estancia Torrance in New Mexico, where they lived, and he worked as a carpenter. And he lived there in New Mexico, as you say, until he passed away in 1994. And here we have a lovely picture.
That's beautiful.
Lovely. That's
Yes, his family. There we can see it.
nice.
So sweet.
Mm.
So, yeah, these are the elder children that both passed away. And we have his headstone. Oh, we have to correct that. Yeah, it's a beautiful headstone. And now we have the obituary. And now we can see that John was survived by 14 grandchildren and 17 great-grandchildren. So now we can see the story. We have a story for John, not just one line.
That's
so
right.
Great work, Christine. Thank you for this makeover.
Very nice.
Wonderful work.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Wow, that's great. So
I should disappear.
Yeah, that's very
okay, Betsy.
Point. So see everybody next Saturday.
We'll see you from Roots Tech.
See you in person.
Bye, Betsy. Great weekend.
You too.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Betsy and Greg are meeting in person for the first time at
That's
Roots
right.
Tech.
First time ever.
Yes. Well, and I want to say that March's profile makeover theme, if you want to inspire to choose a profile, will be school.
Oh.
Okay. Or so you can choose a teacher for a profile. Maybe you have a photo of someone in their first day of school. And I chose that because in March is when the school year begins in Chile. So that inspired me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
So school, teachers, students, you name it.
Excellent.
That will be, yeah.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Vicky.
Yeah.
So when we had Marianne here, I pulled up her profile to see, because with Cajun roots, I knew that she'd be a cousin. Turns out she's a 9th cousin of mine.
Wow.
And we share this set of grandparents as well as a whole pile of other grandparents.
Wow.
So, as is typical, anyone who's French Canadian or Acadian is going to be pretty much guaranteed related to me somehow or other. Oh, that's fun. And made a comment about when we meet at Roots Tech. I actually have the whole sort of the Roots Tech schedule for what we're doing next week, and our roundup will happen from Roots Tech. So that means it's going to be time shifted a couple hours. But I'm going to go through all of that at the end of this roundup. So stay tuned, and I'll give you all the details about Roots Tech. So
we have a suggestion, Greg.
Yes.
Anne says that you and Betsy can play music together.
We could.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, as long as there's a piano, I'm bringing my fingers with me. So I don't know if she'll bring her flute, but we'll see. Get the band back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a few musicians among the WikiTreeers, so something could happen. Maybe in the lobby we'll find a piano that we can gather around or something like that. So we'll see. So the connection checkers, the theme this week, which is also always the theme for the profiles of the week, is the floral connection, which is interesting. So I thought that was an interesting choice. And we'll start off with Narcisse Fortunat Bello, who is 4th cousin, 5 times removed, because he's Canadian. He was born in 1808 in Saint-Froid, Bas-Canada. So Canada became a country in 1867, July 1st, 1867. That was the original Canada Day. So he was born before Canada was a country. And at that point, the part of Canada which is now known as Quebec was called Bas Canada, or Lower Canada. And then it became called Canada East, where Quebec was Canada East because it was the east part of the colony of Canada, and Ontario was the west part and called Canada West. But before that, they were Lower Canada and Upper Canada, which always confused me when I looked at the map, because Quebec is higher. When you look at a map, Quebec is higher than Ontario, but it's because of the direction that the water flows, the river, upriver and down river. So anyways, but I'm giving you that little wee mini history because his claim to fame, he's a Canadian notable, because before Canada became a country, he was the premier of the province of Canada, of Canada East, of what was Quebec, basically. So he was the head of that part of the colony. And then when Canada did become a country, and we had a prime minister, our very first prime minister was John A. Macdonald, but he was appointed, Narcisse Fortunat was appointed the lieutenant governor of Quebec. So that's basically the highest ranking official in Quebec. So he was quite influential and well respected. He was originally as well as a politician. He was also an attorney. He was born, as I said, in Saint-Foy. His father was a farmer, and he studied law and was admitted to the bar in 1835. Got married in that same year, 1835. And then he was drawn into politics, became part of the Legislative Assembly in Quebec, and then eventually chose premier and then on to lieutenant governor. So that was his claim to fame. Now, the initials after his name, KCMG and QC, I looked those up to make sure I knew what those were, and I actually added to the profile the what they mean. So the KCMG is the Knight Commander of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George. So, and I put a link to the Wikipedia article that talks about that honor. And then he was also a QC, which means he was a Queen's Counsel. So lawyers who are in good standing and have done distinguished work. This is an honor, another honor that can be awarded to them. And when the reigning monarch is a queen, like it was when Queen Victoria, then you become a member of the Queen's Council. But today, if someone was appointed, then they'd be a member of the King's Council because the current monarch is King Charles. So, so it would be if that happened today, it would be a KC as opposed to a QC. So I thought that, because so often you see these initials after someone's name, and you think, what do they mean? And sometimes I guess, sometimes I guess wrong. So I thought I will just double check that. And for other people's interests, I put it in the profile. And our next one is also Canadian, Viola Davis. She was born in Halifax in 1914, passed away young, I'd say too young, at the age of 50 in New York City. But she has sort of two claims to fame. Her first claim to fame was that she is known for, she was arrested. So she's sort of the Canadian version. There's some similarities between her story and Rosa Parks, because she was arrested for challenging racial segregation in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. She didn't put up with it, and her case helped begin the modern civil rights movement in Canada. And because of that, and the work that she did on behalf of that, which eventually actually got an official pardon from apology. Actually, I should say not a pardon, an apology from the province of Nova Scotia, though it took many, many years after she passed away, unfortunately. But she became the first woman. She's actually on our money, on our $10 bill. There's a picture of Viola Davis. Davis Desmond, yeah. And so she appears on the $10 bill, and she was the first Canadian woman ever to be featured on a banknote.
So Viola is the name of a flower? Or-
Violet. A
Violet,
violet
right?
is a flower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So viola is
Yeah.
sort of is like a
I thought.
form of that name.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. On the newer $10 bills. Yeah. There you go. And the other thing that's interesting about those is that most like if you think of a bill is like sort of this shape, basically. I don't have any money. I don't have my wallet with me, so I can't show you. But a bill is really this shape, right? And normally when there's a picture, the picture is like that, right? But for hers, you actually have to turn the bill this way because the picture goes up and down. It's a portrait as opposed to landscape, which is kind of wild. And that kind of freaked people out too. A viola itself is actually also an instrument. You're right; it's a string instrument. Moving on, Poppy. Poppy. Poppy Delavigne Cook has a very short profile. She's a two-liner, not a one-liner.
Oh, three-line.
Yeah. She's an English socialite, an actress, and a model. And born in 1986. So she's living. Like many living notables, there some of those biographies are fairly short. Will get fleshed out later on, but
we don't have a picture of her.
There's a picture of her there, right there. That's
just
it doesn't get much. Let's see.
Miniature.
If we go to her profile, I think is there a Wikipedia page? It's a little bit bigger.
Okay. There she is.
And she's done a couple movies. The one that I'm familiar with is she was in a movie called The Kingsman, The Golden Circle.
Oh yeah, what's that?
And you remember that one? So they're sort of like a secret society, James Bondish, like I guess. And in this one, she actually played the bad guy, the one who was kidnapping all the people around the world, including Elton John.
Wow.
And he actually appears in near the end of the movie. He's actually, he's tied to a chair and he's kidnapped and he has to be rescued. But she was the one who kidnapped him.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, it's a fun movie, and I give Elton John credit for hamming it up and doing that because it's cool.
Cool.
So she was the bad guy.
Yeah, that's nice for female empowering.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they can be evil as well as anyone. And yet another Canadian. I think this is our. We don't often get three Canadians, but I guess we did. We had a lot of Canadians in the Acadian the week when we talked about the Project Acadia. But here we have our third Canadian because it's Guy Lafleur, and Lafleur means the flower in French.
Yeah.
So of course you can't have a floral theme without Lafleur as being part of it.
Sure.
Sixth cousin once removed, so he's my closest. He and Narcisse are tied. Who was Narcisse? He was fourth cousin 5 times removed. But anyways, Guy is sixth cousin once removed, and born in Papineau, Quebec, in 1951. Very famous hockey player, Montreal Canadiens. He's wearing, that says the Heat. That's interesting. But he played for the Montreal Canadiens mostly. Abbotsford Heat. Interesting. He must have joined that team later on. That's not one of the Stanley Cup or the NHL teams. Played famous Montreal Canadian player. His biography is actually fairly short, but he's got lots of links here, so you can check out his Wikipedia page and other interesting things. He had a huge funeral because he was popular. He was not only popular because of his hockey playing career, but he was a well-respected and well-loved person overall. So lots of people, including our Prime Minister, attended his funeral in 2022. So, and the Premier of Quebec. Anyway, it was a huge event. Great guy. Nigella Lawson. So that one I had to figure out what what's the connection?
What's the flower there?
What's the flower there? So it turns out that Nigella is a flower. Where is it here? Nope, that's not the one I wanted to show you. I had somewhere I think I closed it down. But Nigella is a type of flower. Let me see if I can find that. What is Nigella? So there's seeds, and it comes from a flower. There's the picture of the flower right there. Nigella.
There it is.
Yeah. So who knew?
It's a beautiful flower.
I didn't know there was a flower called Nigella.
No, not at all.
But her claim to fame, she's the Iron Chef, born in the 60s. So she's a food writer, a television cook, known as the Nigella Express, and simply Nigella. There's a little typo there. So let me just see if I sent an email out or a message out to David to see if he can fix that, but he obviously hasn't checked his messages yet. But that should be simply, but because it's a protected profile, I can't edit it and change that. So someone who can edit it, just put the L back in there. Simply Nigella.
Please.
There we go. Met her first husband in 86. Sadly, he passed away in 2001 at the young age of 47. And then she got married a few years later. And there's some research notes too. And she appeared on Who Do You Think You Are? Very cool. Moving on, Charles Lilly. We all know what a lily is, so nice flower. Born in All Saints Church. Do you think he really was born in a church or was baptized in the church? That would be an interesting story if he was actually born in a church. Unless there's a place called All Saints Church. My guess is the city is Newcastle upon Tyne, and All Saints Church is where the baptism was, but I'm not quite sure. So maybe a WikiTree will be able to clear that up. But he is born in the UK, but he died in Australia because that's where his claim to fame is. He was the Premier of Queensland and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Now, he passed away in 1897, and I had it in my head that Australia didn't officially become a country until 1900. Turns out it was 1901, January 1st of 1901. So the first day of the first month of the first year in the 1900s. 111. Or 1901 is when Australia became officially a country, a federation, and so Queensland was one of the colonies one of the 6 colonies at the time. So yeah, born in 1830, Newcastle upon Tyne, living with his parents in 41. He was a barrister, and then he was elected. Did it say when they moved? So he got married. They were in Brisbane already. It doesn't say when the family moved from England to Australia. But anyways, he was already in Australia by the time he got married in 1858. Became part of the Legislative Assembly in 1860, and then was Premier in 1868, and even knighted. So he's a Sir. There's a whole electorate named after him and a statue. Then we have Heather Locklear, actress. Again, living notable, fairly short bio. Different roles on Dynasty. She was a police officer in T.J. Hooker. That also also starred Captain Kirk, William Shatner. He was the title character T.J. Hooker after his Star Trek role was over. She was on Melrose Place, Amanda Woodward, and also on Spin City. And apparently has a few other.
Right.
So, Heather, of course, is Heather and moss, often associated with as a flower. Now, Flora MacDonald. Now, this is an interesting one. This goes way back in time, but I I have a sort of a family connection to this story. Because Flora MacDonald was born on the island of South Uist in Scotland. So if we click on this, one cool thing about these WikiTree profiles is that there's a little map icon. And if I click on that, it will open up a map so you can see where that place is. Now that's really zoomed in here. And so if I zoom out, you will see there's the island of South Uist. Okay. And the reason, so that's what the island of South Uist looks like. Now that in context doesn't mean anything to you probably, but that's one island among others that are in what's called the Outer Hebrides. And then these islands here are called the Inner Hebrides. And these are all islands that are off the northwest coast of Scotland. Okay. So that's where she was born. And that's exciting to me because I don't see a lot of profiles from South Uist. But my mom's family is from South Uist. Now, my adopted mom, like I grew up, my last name is Clark, and my mom's name was Bernadette McIsaac. So all of the cousins and aunts and uncles that I grew up with here were Clarks and McIsaacs, and the McIsaacs come from South Uist. In fact,
wow, what a coincidence!
I know, and I mean it's a tiny little island. I mean, well,
how many could be there? How many profiles?
That's a good question. WikiTree Plus could answer that. So I'll have to look at that. But so there's the marker for where Flora was born. Apparently, Dellyburg is where a lot of my ancestors came from, and I've actually got from Scotland's people. I was able to find the birth or the baptism records of a great grandfather and some siblings that were baptized in Dellyburg and lived there or in Bournois. So those two places are in my family history. And the other cool thing is that the McIsaacs, actually, they don't have their own tartan. They are part of a different clan. They're part of the Clan Ranald of McDonald's. The McDonald's of Clan Ranald, I should say.
Oh.
So they're actually, the McDonald's were the prominent, or one of the prominent families on this island. And so the McIsaacs were part of their clan. And when we get into her profile, Flora MacDonald's father was a Ranald MacDonald. So sitting there part of the Clan Ranald clan, I'm pretty sure that there is a probably cousin connection if we go back far enough in time. So,
and there's the tartan.
And there's the tartan. So that would be the tartan that our family would use. Yeah. So that would be my tartan for my mom. Anyways, so now her story isn't my story. Let's focus back on the profile person. So. Sorry, I took a bit of a detour there. I'm usually talking about my biological mother's French Canadian side all the time. So I thought, here, I'll give my mom who raised me, give her some highlights. So her claim that, well, she had a long history, a long story, and this profile is excellent. It's really well written and it talks about all that. But what she's most famous for is that she helped Bonnie Prince Charlie escape because he was he was the rightful king, or should have been the king or the heir to the throne of Scotland, but other people didn't think so. The English didn't think so. So his life was in danger. So she helped him escape from Scotland to the Isle of Skye, so off the coast. And so he was disguised as her maidservant, and so they sailed across to the not to South Uist, but to the Isle of Skye, which is this island right there. So from the main coast to the Isle of Skye, and so she protected him, and because of that, she was a hero. Now she was actually later her part in the plot was discovered, he made it safely to France. So he did escape thanks to that that part of the journey. Then he went on to France, but he gave her a locket saying, "I hope, madam, that we may meet again in St. James," which would be the court in Scotland. But she never did see him again. And she was actually sentenced. She was found out, and she was actually put in prison in the Tower of London. And she could have been executed and beheaded, but she did get released, luckily. And then she went on. I mean, that wasn't the end. That was just the beginning of her exciting life. Then she ended up getting married. At one point, she and her husband moved to were over in America, in I think it was North Carolina. It says here, but she was in America, and then her husband was captured during the War of Independence, and then ended up in Nova Scotia at one point, and then they came back to the Isle of Skye, and that's where she passed away. But one of the things that came, then a statue was erected in her honor, and a song was made about that whole escape of Bonnie Prince Charlie sailing to the Isle of Skye, and it's called the Skye Boat Song, which you may be familiar with. And if you watch the series Outlander, it's the theme music to Outlander.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to Skye. And then it goes on. I won't sing anymore because I don't want the YouTube to be taken down.
Copyright.
Copyright. Well, Roger Whittaker sang in '68, so maybe it's not a. Well, he sung it in '68, but the song was created actually in the 1800s. So, yeah, that part of it is, it's out of copyright, I would say. But anyways, that's the song. It's a very familiar tune. It's a lovely, haunting, beautiful melody. So, anyways, moving on to Rosa Parks. So, this very famous woman stood up for her rights. And very important to U.S. Black history, U.S. history in general, really, I should say. Born in 4th of February, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama, and passed away at 92 in Detroit. Of course, she's a member of the First Lady of Civil Rights in the United States. She refused to give up her seat on the bus and moved to the back when a white reader wanted to sit where she was sitting. So she became a symbol of the movement and went on to collaborate with others, including Martin Luther King Jr. himself. She herself was from mixed race. One of her great-grandparents was Scottish and Irish. Moved to Alabama when she was young, went to school there. She was an active member in the NAACP, and she actually became secretary of the Montgomery chapter, Montgomery, Alabama. And that's where the bus incident happened in that. And because of her arrest and the protests, they actually protested there was a bus boycott for over a year, 381 days. And Martin Luther King was the spokesperson for that boycott. It's said that one of the things that inspired her to be part of the movement was, while she saw all the injustice that was going on, the school she attended when she was young was burned twice down by the KKK. Like, it's crazy to think how things were. But she ended up having to move to Detroit for safety, and even then, her home was broken into at one point. So she had not an easy life, but it was important, and she and her husband, they formed a foundation. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Gold Medal. So very impressive person. And lovely profile. Well done.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is our next one. Born on the 20th of October in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And highlights some of his most famous roles. Of course, he played the Joker in a recent movie, 2019. He was the Roman Emperor in The Gladiator. He was kind of creepy in that. A good actor, right? Johnny Cash in Walk the Line did a great job there. Also, a few other ones there. The Master. He was the guy there was a movie Her. Have you ever watched that one? It's falls in love with his AI, his artificial intelligence.
No, I didn't watch that.
Yeah, so that one.
But I watched Napoleon.
You saw Napoleon. Okay, he was good in that. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So well done. And there he is. This is the Joker. Then we have Pete Rose. Rose, of course. Famous flower. Son of Harry Francis Rose and Laverne Blowbaum. Married to two. Looks like there's two wives, but neither of them are attached. I wonder if they're still alive, whereas their profiles haven't been added. Then his profile goes through all of the great things. Like he was an amazing baseball player, leader in. Look at all these stats: hits, games played.
Yay, stats!
Stats, yeah, that's a stat. That's great. Many awards. He was a switch hitter, so that's very valuable, of course. Both of his Gold Gloves when he was an outfielder. 5 different positions, so very flexible, versatile. Played for the Cincinnati Reds, the Phillies, the Montreal Expos. Oh, so he even played for a Canadian team briefly. I didn't realize that. And then back to the Cincinnati Reds. And then he was the manager and player manager actually for some of it. Unfortunately, his baseball career came to a sad end when he was accused of betting on the game. And so at that point, that's a huge no-no to bet on a game when you're part of the team. And so he was banned from baseball ever since, removed from the Hall. I don't know if he was banned from the Hall of Fame or removed from he was banned from the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he was ever in the Hall of Fame and then he was removed from it. I can't remember that detail, but anyways, he tried to get that overturned, I think, but never did. So that's unfortunate that after such an amazing career, that it ended that way. So that's kind of sad. But then we have, I think this is our last profile, Daisy, Princess Daisy. Mary Daisy Teresa Olivia West was born in O'Castle, Ruthven Castle in Denbighshire, Wales. Daughter of William Cornwallis West and Mary Adelaide Virginia Eupatoria Fitzpatrick. And so she was born in Wales, and then she married a German prince, Hans Heinrich XV, Prince von Pless. And their service was fully choral, which is interesting. I haven't seen that. So I guess that means there was a lot of singing. Everything was sung.
Wow.
Does that mean that it was like an opera? I don't know.
You tell me, you know a lot about
yes, well, I've never
chorus.
been to I haven't been to a wedding that's been mentioned as being fully choral. I mean, I play a lot of music at if the wedding is a full Catholic mass, then there's a lot of music there, but there are parts that are just said and are not sung. So I'm not quite sure. An opera wedding. Yeah, there we go. That's what Dee said.
Oh, that's a wedding. Sorry, I thought it was the funeral.
No, this is the wedding. So I don't know. Fully choral. Interesting. Yeah. Now, it's interesting because in the old lectionaries, a lot of the prayers can be sung to Gregorian chant. And this back in 1891, they would still be singing Latin and could have been using Gregorian chant. So maybe everything was sung in Gregorian chant and then other things.
That's what I thought.
That's that'd be interesting.
She's my closest.
She's your closest. Look at
Yeah,
that.
but
Interesting.
19.
Okay. Do you have German roots? Is that where the connection is?
I'm not sure if it's from Ireland or Germany,
Oh,
but I have German roots.
okay.
Mhm.
A high
I'll
mass
check
maybe
that.
was used. Okay, good. Yeah. So what's interesting, I'm not going to read all the details, but it actually talks about her gown. Like it's like from the write up in the newspaper when it talks about what the bride was wearing and stuff. So white Duchess satin, orange blossoms, lover's knots, silver gimp. Very cool. If you can picture all of that stuff. So she was known as, now I'm not sure what the S is. It Her Serene Highness, Princess High of Pless, and His Serene Highness, Prince Henry of Pless. Anyways, society beauty. They were unfortunately she and her husband got divorced after World War I in 1922 in Berlin. And she herself passed away sadly in relative poverty. She died in Poland in 1943. And according to this, she was reportedly murdered by the Gestapo. I'm guessing there may not be official records to confirm that fact, but it's possible. And then she was buried in the castle grounds. So she was born in a castle and she was buried in a castle. Truly a princess.
Well.
Yeah. So there we have it. And if you're interested in the big matrix of how everyone's connected to each other, that's what it looks like this week. So there you have the profiles of the week. Yay! So next week, we are still doing the roundup, but it will be 2 hours later, actually 2 hours and 15 minutes later, because Betsy and I are going to be at Roots Tech. Vicky will be virtually at Roots Tech with us on Saturday. And I'm hoping that a lot of you will be at Roots Tech either in person or virtually joining us. We have lots of things planned for Roots Tech, and let me pull up the schedule for you. Let's see, can I zoom in? I can zoom in a little bit better. There we go. How's that? Can you read that?
I can read it.
You can read it? Okay. So hopefully you can see that. So this is how it's all planned. So this is actually from an email from AON. So when it says meeting at the booth, that means the team who's going to be there. That doesn't mean all of you have to meet us at the booth at 8:45 in the morning. You can sleep in and come to Roots Tech whenever you're ready to walk over to the Salt Palace, which is where it's taken. But we've actually scheduled, we're gonna do some live tours during the day. So I've got one scheduled every day at it's 2:50. I thought it was 2:15. No, it's 2:50. And so I'm going to show off the fan chart for one of those. I'll probably show off some other apps, maybe the WikiTree browser extension. We'll see what the demand is there. But I'll be so once a day I'll be doing a live tour of the WikiTree site and some of the stuff that's connected to it. Elaine will be doing one. Julie Ricketts will also be there, and she'll be doing some. And Betsy's also doing some as well. Yeah. She's doing one on Friday. So so there's those live tours. There are live casts that are happening from Roots Tech. So if you're attending virtually or you're at home, you can join us. The one on Thursday will be the Notables live cast. I think David Randall is going to be joining us at Roots Tech. So
yes,
he'll be doing that. Then we're going to have a live tour. Again, at the end of the day. And then on Friday, really busy day. That one, if you are attending Roots Tech in person, please join us at the booth on Friday morning at 10. Actually, be there for 9:55 so we can get all posed, because we're going to take a big giant picture of all WikiTreeers at Roots Tech. So please join us for that. And wear orange if you can. I'm wearing this blue because it's so cold up here in Ontario, Canada. So but I will bring orange and be wearing orange on Friday for the big picture there. So wear orange. Join us at 9:55 in front of the booth, and you'll get in the picture. And then we have, of course, the same live tour, different tours, but same people, same times mostly. The live cast for Friday will be the U.S. Black Heritage Project Q&A. And then Saturday, we have the live cast. That's 10:15 a.m. Salt Lake City time. So that's 2.25 hours later than the regular time. So if you just type in 10:15 a.m. Salt Lake City, and you'll get, I'm sure Google will tell you, or a time converter will tell you what time that is, your local time. But basically 2.25 hours later than normal. Or YouTube will the time will be adjusted on YouTube, so it should just start up. And then Roots Tech ends at 3. That's when we take down things in the expo hall and we go home and whatnot. So our booth number is 1917. So if you're looking on the giant map, that's where we'll be. And for those of you who can't make it there physically and in person, please join us for the live casts and chat with us online. And I can't promise you, but we might have some impromptu live casts and stuff. We'll see how it goes. I know 2 years ago when I went, Megs and I sometimes did a few impromptu things, and we might take an impromptu walk around the expo hall so you can see what it looks like and stuff. So we will see how that goes. See how the technology, see how the Wi-Fi is in the Salt Palace, because that it's a giant, like it's a huge space. So, anyways,
how exciting!
Yes, it'll be exciting. And it's not too late to sign up. So if you can't come there personally, you can still sign up. It's free to attend virtually, and there's lots of great stuff there. So it's a wonderful conference. And anyways, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting a bunch of you in person who I've only seen online. And so come and say hi to us in the booth, and we'll hang out. Let's see.
Let's see.
What do we have? It does. It's possible that it has the social media posts haven't been updated yet for us this week.
Yeah, maybe.
And let's see if we go to the forum.
I don't see it.
I don't see it here either. Okay. Well, what's happening? There's stuff is happening on WikiTree. We're going to Roots Tech. That's one thing that's happening.
Yes. Go to your favorite social network.
That's
social
right.
Media, I guess.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sure those pages will be updated. So a bunch of us will be at Roots Tech. So some of the stuff is been shifted around. Like, as you can see, the live casts are happening. The focus is on Roots Tech. Rock is happening again. Thank you, John. Yeah, the random acts of WikiTree kindness. There is Dave Vance is the WikiTree challenge, and that challenge is taking place. Will begin on March 13th. So Dave Vance is now the not in charge of Family Tree DNA. He is a general manager for Family Tree DNA. And so we are going to be extending his CC7 and so that's something you can sign up for. It doesn't happen this week, but you can sign up this week. And the other thing that's exciting is that the site redesign has been tested. I've been testing it, and we're actually working on the tree apps, my tree apps anyways, and tweaking them so that they work with the new design. I've actually been adding some new features. And for those who joined the tech chat last week, I gave a quick preview of some of the new features that I've been adding to some of those tree apps. So that'll be exciting when that gets released. And so some more people are doing some testing. And I think, so you can see a quick preview of here. Check out this post by Chris Whitten for details. And I believe the release is scheduled for March 10th. So after Roots Tech is over, and a bunch of us, while we're there, will be testing it and tweaking it as well. And then the official release will happen March 10th. And so there you go. He's warned that the release won't go smoothly. So he's already there. It is such a huge beast. And if you know anything about programming and web development, things never go quite as smoothly as you hope they will. In fact, I got an email this morning with Vicky about the mystery box challenge. It doesn't turn over the months very well. And someone finished a box yesterday, February 28th, but they got awarded for March 28th for somehow. So, you know, mistakes happen online, and so we have to fix them. We have to, they're bugs, and we have to squash them. But anyways, that's also exciting, something that's coming up. So stay tuned and check out Chris's post here, and you can see some of the things that you're looking forward to. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Anything have I missed, Vicky?
I don't think so. No, we had no social media. No, you're okay.
We're good.
We can leave you to enjoy your weekend.
Yes, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I'll see you from Roots Tech, either in person or virtually. And look forward to seeing you. You get an extra couple hours of sleep, Vicky, before you have to join us next Saturday.
Yes. Oh, remember, 2 hours.
Yeah.
50 minutes later.
Yeah.
It's going to be the roundup.
It's going to be the roundup. So we'll see you next week. See you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Happy weekend. Happy March.